Okay, I'm recording.
Let's get together to co-create a breakthrough for freedom of energy, sustenance, healing, and regeneration of the human vessel. Welcome to FESIG, the Free Energy Special Interest Group, where science meets spirituality in the quest for truth and knowledge to free humanity and transform this planet into a paradise. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Welcome to FESIG. This is the Free Energy Special Interest Group. I am Crystal Gore, and I'm the initiator and founder of FESIG. And this is, well, today is the 5th of February 2020, and this is our 73rd FESIG meeting. I would like to share screen again so I can call up my PowerPoint presentation, and then we will be able to explore what is it that we are having the meeting about today. Okay, all right, so I'm going to, so here we are having this meeting, and this is FESIG, the Free Energy Special Interest Group. Right. Sorry, the mouse is a little stuck here. Okay, so today we have FESIG. If you go to the website, you know about us. It is a platform where science meets spirituality. And the website will be, if you look at the video, at the bottom of the video, you see our website there if you can find it anywhere else. So this is a platform where we gather scientists, researchers, developers of free energy, enthusiasts of free energy together. A platform where science meets spirituality, and not just to develop free energy devices. It's free energy is about exploring and developing technologies for healing as well. And today's agenda, the 73rd FESIG meeting agenda, is, well, for the first session, we have the first session speaker, David Sereda, with us here, and he will be presenting his Vortex energy, the 14-pointed coil systems with hundreds of frequencies, and his GEM-powered PEMF, GEM aura energy field transmitters, and his other piezoeletric inventions and the staff of Moses. It's very, very interesting, David. And I'm going to introduce you properly before I hand the microphone to you. And I also like to mention that the second item of the agenda is the second section of our 73rd meeting, where we have two speakers. We have the Taygetian Pleiadian contactist, Gosia of Cosmic Agency, and Dale Harder, who is a retired scientist and engineer with NASA and Honeywell. And they will both be talking about stellar navigation, extraterrestrial technology, and metaphysics. Remember, FESIG is a platform where we would forge through new frontiers to explore as far as we can advanced technologies, ideas, so we can forge forward and march forward and excel in what we're here to do. So they'll be talking about stellar navigation, extraterrestrial technology, and metaphysics as well. And I urge all of you out there to have an open mind, because without that, you mustn't judge, because judgment could be an obstacle to the furthest, wildest ideas that will bring the success that we seek. And then when we finish all that, the meeting, and of course we have our Q&A sessions, the meeting will then adjourn to the 74th FESIG meeting, which will be on the 4th of March. I beg your pardon. I made a mistake here, so MAR. Yeah. So 4th of March, make a note in your diary, pen that down, and join us again. Right. So if you want to contact me, I can be reached with crystal@truevisionofpeace.com, and this is the website, truevisionofpeace.com/FESIG.html, and keep popping into our website because it gets updated once a month or twice a month or so to look into who will be the next speaker for the next meeting. All right, so without much ado, I am going to introduce David right away now. So I think I've stopped sharing. Yes, I did. Right, David is no newbie because for over 40 years he has studied world religions, spiritual practices, meditation. He's quite a renowned personality. Breath techniques, the search for the perfect word of God vibrations, body techniques, healing techniques, and most important of all, David have developed the world's largest frequency library and most advanced transmitters of these frequencies on Earth for you to benefit from. Well done, David. And David Sereda's Vortex energy 14-point coil systems comes with hundreds of frequencies. The only real jam-powered PEMF jam aura energy field transmitters on Earth. He will talk about his Vortex energy 14-pointed coil systems with hundreds of frequencies. Oh, sorry, I've said that earlier. So there you go. And the staff of Moses is also very interesting. Thank you for giving me the videos to look at, David, so I can then introduce you properly here. So there you go. And if I may, I'm going to hand the microphone over to you now, David, to do your presentation. And you have 40 to 45 minutes to do your presentation. And the rest of the time, we have Q&A session with the team here. Okay, so now we have more people jumping in. Thank you so much, David. Over to you.
Thank you, Crystal, for hosting this amazing forum here today. And just, you know, there are so many people in the world who just feel like, what can we do? We're victims of this new super electronic field system that we're living in. And there is a lot of hope in understanding, firstly, that we're like plants in a way. We're photosynthetic, photo vibrational beings. And when the first, problems with the internet started occurring, my company, which at the time was Lightstream Technologies, we were developing a laptop shield. And I was looking at a way to block microwaves from going into the reproductive system and the lymphatic system in the body, because people were typing on their laptops. And it was noted on Yahoo News that male sperm would mutate within 15 minutes of using a laptop. And it wasn't easy, because using good meters, you have to have, for those of you who don't know, you have to have a good Gauss meter. I use a Lutron Gauss meter. And then you have to have a microwave meter, which, see, microwave meters measure in watts per meter squared, and Gauss meters measure in Gauss or units of Tesla to understand how strong a magnetic field is. And effectively, most metals and materials, including crystals, didn't block anything. And there were a few metals that were very effective at blocking. And probably the most effective metal at blocking is tungsten. Tungsten is used to carry visible radioactive materials in containers of tungsten. And a container this big is 40 pounds. And, you carry gamma ray emitting materials in these containers, and it blocks it better than lead. But to effectively protect the lower body from microwaves was my first goal. And we were able to use certain exotic materials in a non-grounded sheet that were very expensive, that really blocked and protected that part of the body. And that's where I started. And when you understand, you're like a plant, like imagine a plant, and I'm going to use a Faraday cage, which most Faraday cages don't work today, because remember, 5G wavelengths are smaller than a raindrop, and they'll just go right through most Faraday cage systems. But imagine you're a plant and I don't give you any sunlight. What's going to happen? You're going to die. And our brains and nervous systems are electrical systems. You can measure voltage on a common voltmeter. You can measure millivolts, and a millivolt is a thousandth of a volt. And you can see that we're electrical systems, but we're receiving not only photoelectric light from our star and from cosmic positions of stars at nighttime, but we're also feeling pulses. The sun actually pulses. And NASA did a recording into the sound of the sun a long time ago. And I submitted it to the producers of the movie Water, the Great Mystery, Saida Medvedeva in Russia, where Masaru Emoto's effect was taken to a much greater level in this film, proving that because we're electrical systems, we contain conductive and semiconductive materials in our physiology, and we're made mostly of water. We can see from the studies done on water that vibrations affect the structure and the harmony of the structures of a water-based system. And all plant-based systems, all living systems on this planet are made mostly of water, which is hydrogen and oxygen. So with that, we are victims of frequency. We're victims of hundreds of thousands of microwave towers and satellite transmissions all around the planet. And if you drive down the highway with a good microwave meter that's sensitive to at least 8 gigahertz, you have to check the sensitivity range on your meter. You'll see activity everywhere. You can see it in your downtown. Our nervous systems are receiving this stuff. And Luc Montagnier, who is a Nobel Prize winning virologist, proved that human DNA, the coil of the DNA in the nucleus of all of our cells, is receiving and transmitting radio frequencies. And to his astonishment, it could receive wavelengths. You see, a wavelength and a frequency are the same thing. They're just expressed mathematically differently. You take the speed of light in inches divided by the wavelength in inches, and you have your frequency. Or you take the speed of light in millimeters or micrometers divided by the speed of light in the same, and you get your frequency. So frequencies are what we live on. We're living on them. In fact, so if I create a block, if I block my whole building, which I know how to do, not a very easy thing to do, but it's easy when you know the secret. Effectively, you can block everything. And you don't want to do that because you're living in a wave trap. There was a wave trap is, if I block all the frequencies on the outside, the frequencies on the inside are going to bounce around and they're going to cook my head. And that's essentially how a magnetron generates microwaves. It generates it in a box where the wavelengths become incredibly dense and it fires out signals to detect airplanes or to communicate with cell phones, you know, and the whole world of telecommunications. So a microwave is an extremely dense, powerful wave that is basically throwing punches at you all day long. And people who are sensitive are going to start to break down. We're going to see an increase in mental illness. So my solutions that I've really effectively come up with are first, and I want to offer first the most effective solution to microwaves. And I want to say, I'll make sure we can see my screen here. Can you see my website screen here?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so I have a lot of solutions, and my solutions are based on generating your own vortex energy, speed of light, torus magnetic field that extends the effective healing range of the vortex energy field is at least 70 feet in all directions on my systems. And that being within, you see, imagine it's not frequencies that are harming you, it's disharmonic frequencies that are harming you. In fact, if you look at the wavelengths of hydrogen and oxygen, they're well into the microwave spectrum in their natural occurring vibrations. And if you look at the cosmic microwave background radiation that permeates the universe, we're living beings inside of a radiation environment. But what adversely affects the nervous system are disharmonics. And it's amazing that even Tesla didn't notice and didn't do studies into the effects of disharmonic versus harmonic energy fields. And for an example, if you look at Royal Rife, who did discoveries under a 30,000 times microscope, he's looking through the microscope and he's sending radio different frequencies into viruses, and he sees a virus finally being destroyed by a frequency. So even though you're destroying a virus, that is a destructive frequency to the virus. So you don't live on destructive frequencies. You use them and then you finish with a harmonic frequency. So I've been practicing meditation of all kinds, many different masters for 40 years, every single day. I'm 59 years old this year, and I used to work for Nobel Prize winning physicists in the field of nuclear fusion, landmine and bomb detection, and for different matters in Department of Defense. And I've firstly looked at what is the most effective thing people can do who don't want to spend money or they don't have a lot of money to spend. And I really figured this out because I tested it with meters. I wanted to be sure, yes, you can block a smart meter yourself. Those mesh things that people put on their smart meters, if they were blocking the smart meter would not telecommunicate with the power company. And they would come and tell you, we can't read the meter. So that's how I know they're not working. Now, the most effective way to block, and I'm going to give you this secret right now. Like, let's say I'm in my building right here, and that wall is proportional to the direction of the microwave meter in my town. And in my town of Nelson, British Columbia, 10,000 people, I can walk around with a TF2 meter and see massive readings within 2 blocks of the microwave tower. So it's okay to block one wall, but you don't want to block all your walls because, first of all, you're not going to receive nature's frequencies, right? There was a film called Resonance Beings of Frequency where they took these teenagers and they put them under the ground in a cave where the Earth's resonant frequency, the Tesla-Schumann resonance, they were not receiving it. And the Tesla-Schumann resonance is proportional to the theta part of the brain, which is where we're in deep rest, deep meditative state. And they found there was no Earth frequency in the cave, under the ground, not a cave above the ground. They got massively, critically, mentally depressed. And instead of taking them back out, they used an artificial transmitter to transmit the Tesla-Schumann resonance in the cave, and they recovered. That data is so incredible because it tells you that you can, I don't want to say artificially, because all frequencies are living things to me. All of them are alive. You can transmit a frequency through a device into an environment, and a person can feel it and recover from this depression state they're in, right? So what happens with disharmonic frequencies is if you have antennas of all different sizes and they're all transmitting different frequencies, the space between frequency A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so on, if the spacing between them is not harmonic, the waves crash into each other and it creates chaos. So your nervous system is living in this chaotic field all the time because nobody has designed a harmony to the length of an antenna and proportion to each other antennas and other antennas and other antennas. Because an antenna is a quarter of a wavelength, the height of an antenna. And you'll remember the cell phones in the early days. Some guy would be in a club and have this massive antenna and his big cell phone. And that little antenna came down, and then the Nokias had little antennas this big, and now you don't see your antenna anymore. And that's because as the frequency gets higher that you're communicating at, the antenna gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So an antenna for a monopole transmitter receiver is a quarter of a wavelength. So times 4 is a full wavelength. Speed of light in millimeters divided by the wavelength in millimeters is your frequency that they're operating at. So if I'm in a room and I want to block that wall, or I want to block the roof, right? You have a steel roof. You can use any good conductive metal to do this, and you have to ground it. See, if you put up tourmaline paint, won't block anything unless that tourmaline paint is all perfectly connected and then grounded. Although my tests on tourmaline paint failed to block today's microwaves. But this building I'm in right now, that's a whole steel wall. So when I ground the steel wall, which is really easy to do, you drill a hole in the steel, you send a copper wire to your electrical ground, and that wall's blocked. And I've tested this with meters, okay? But that is not the most supreme way to effectively block. The most effective way to block, and you can see this on my website, I sell a kit for an affordable price. You send $150 to my PayPal, davidsereda@hotmail.com. And I actually did this for several celebrity homes. I designed a series of harmonic proportion grounding rods, right? And you install them in the 4 or multiple corners of your building. And depending on the height of your ceiling, if you have a high ceiling, you're going to be really lucky because you're going to get the most harmonic measurement you could ever imagine. But each proportion of each grounding rod has to be in series, and you send them all to ground. And then what it means is a grounded receiver only receives frequencies at that wavelength. So the height of the grounding rod times 4 is its wavelength. And there are universal harmonic wavelengths, right? And those are the frequencies you want to receive in your building. And the other ones will all just go to ground. They'll all just go to ground. If the charge builds up too high in the building, it'll go to ground. But it won't block, you see? It won't block everything. You don't want to block everything. You're gonna die. The cell that doesn't receive photosynthesis and electromagnetic fields from the universe will die. So the idea of blocking is actually very dangerous, and it's very dangerous for consciousness. But the more advanced solutions I offer on my website are my coils, my wands, and my Staff of Moses projects. And the Staff of Moses, it took me years to do the math to find out what was the height of the Staff of Moses, and why did every Egyptian temple, you look at every one of them, all the master teachers, all the gods and goddesses, why do they always have their staff? It's not just for walking. This is not just for walking. And why does it, you'll always see the height. Once you know the secret to the height, and the secret to the height is in this video on my website. So you go to davidsereda.co. And you can't trust any other websites because there's a company that hijacked me out there, a marketing company. It's only davidsereda.co, not .com, not .net. Stay away from those sites. Those are not mine. Somebody stole them from me. So it's David Sereda, as SEREDA.co. And watch the video in the Staff of Moses here. It's really going to blow your mind how I determine the precise measurement. And we measure these staffs with a laser, because once you have the right height and the right materials, the Staff of Moses had sapphires in it, right? So we offer multiple staffs for people to use, and I actually leave mine on, powered to a signal generator, and we transmit. I calculated the subterranean Great Pyramid of Egypt, all the 4 square uneven side lengths. I squared all the 4 sides going all the way up to the top, and I calculated all the frequencies. Now, what's amazing when you get to the top, right now, the unfinished base capstone of the Great Pyramid is 572.2 something inches per side times 4 sides. The speed of light divided by that is 5.15125 megahertz. And what's interesting about that is the pyramid slope angle is 51 degrees and 51 minutes. And guess how a Great Pyramid slope angle is generated? You take a golden rectangle, side A, times side B, 1.61803398887, and you cut a line down the middle of it, fold your corners, and your corners are 51 degrees and 51 minutes. So Great Pyramid angle is generated out of golden ratio. So the 5151 is the master number in the Great Pyramid, and it amazingly produces a square frequency on the base. We're not at the finished capstone yet. So I calculated all the frequencies all the way up, and I give you, a lesson in how to, every 3 or 4 days, you change the frequency of your house, emitting from the staff. So you're constantly raising the vibration, and you actually hold the staff in your hand, and you can see on a TF2 tri-field meter, if I'm holding the staff and somebody else is holding the meter, my whole body is vibrating at that frequency. And the reason is my spine is a staff. It's a conductor. Calcium is the metal, and the collagen in our bones is an elastic property, and the trace minerals in all of the gold and the silver and everything that's in our water supplies makes us photoelectric beings. Plus our DNA is transmitting and receiving frequencies. So one of the things that's happening in the universe is as our solar system is rising higher and higher and higher above through the dust in the central galactic plane, we get exposed to higher and higher frequencies coming from galactic center. So our DNA evolves every 67 million years in this enormous, enormous cycle. So we want to receive our DNA upgrades. We want to receive our DNA upgrades from our sun as it releases them. But so if you're blocking, what I'm saying is you're in your house all day and you're blocking everything, you're not going to get it. So this whole idea of sleeping with this big mesh around your bed, no, you don't want to do this. You don't want to block it. What you want to do is raise your personal frequency. And the staff with the lessons teaches you how to do that. And then when you do that, we get to the master frequencies, of which there are 5, of the Holy of Holies itself. The Holy of Holies is the cube in Solomon's temple, which happens to be, they found a Holy of Holies in Mary Magdalene's village, in the village of Migdal, in the Smithsonian. I took the measurements using the right royal cubit inch. The most common one in the Great Pyramid, repeated over 16 times by Peter Lemaisurier's math, is 20.605 inches per royal cubit. Once you have that number, you know the height of the staff of Moses, because the 12 staffs lay in the Ark of the Covenant. So the next solution that I have, and I'm going through this, I realize, a little bit fast, and that's just because I don't have an infinite amount of time, are my coil systems. Now, the coil systems, actually, this is kind of fun. This picture on the far right here is the building I'm in right now. That's on the wall behind me. And this is a 28-pointed StarCoil whose circumference is the wavelength of the staff of Moses. So the staff of Moses, 51.5125 inches times 4 is its wavelength, which is 17.17 feet. What's amazing about 17.17 feet is it's the radius of the Holy of Holies in Solomon's temple, but it's also the exact width of the king and the queen's chamber in the Great Pyramid, 17.17 feet. And twice that, which is the length of the king's chamber, is the full measurement of 20 cubits, using 20.605 inches per cubit of the Holy of Holies in Solomon's temple. So whoever built the Great Pyramid must be the same architect who designed Solomon's temple. Now, when I went to a place called Chaco Canyon, New Mexico, I took a Leica laser and I measured these sacred First Nations circles, and I had a perfect Holy of Holies. So why did First Nations people design a ceremonial circle at the same wavelength as the Holy of Holies? So this coil here, the circumference is the radius of the Holy of Holies, which is the wavelength of the staff of Moses, times the 28 points is the exact height of the Great Pyramid of Egypt. And that is really well explained in the video if you watch the video. So these coils are mathematically calculated. My 17-inch 7-level coils that, see, you know, when you're buying these, you're not just buying the coil, you're buying the training, and you're buying this huge frequency library that I offer. Okay, so this plugs into a stereo amplifier, and this generates a massive, just with this tiny little Inpu tube amp that I have back there, I can measure the field of 30 feet on either side of the panel. 30 feet. So it's spinning at the speed of light. The electrons are the electromagnetic energy in the copper, due to the resistance of the copper, is about 2/3 the speed of light approximately. But I'm spinning energy at the speed of light creating a harmonic energy field. So now what happens in my harmonic energy field in my house or my office is when all these corrupt, chaotic photons, particle electromagnetic microwaves, come in from cell towers and microwave towers, which to me are like, in my opinion, are like the dark staffs, the staffs of the dark side of the force surrounding us, polluting our energy systems. Because my field strength is so powerful and it's spinning so fast at the speed of light, when this photon comes in from a microwave tower, it's like, oh, what is this? It starts to transform. And what does the movie Water the Great Mystery tell us about water systems is the moment you change the frequencies around you, the structure of the water crystal changes instantly. Instantly. And when we put the NASA sound of the sun into the water, it was the most beautiful restructured water the researchers had ever seen. So how do you transmit? Sound waves are pressure waves, and they do have an effect on systems, but sound waves are going to bounce all over the walls in your house and your dishes and everything sitting on the counter. And magnetic waves just go right through everything like butter. They just transform everything in their path. And at the inverse square of the speed of light, the field gets weaker and weaker and weaker, but it's still, the signals on my coils are going all the way out into space. So it's not the coil. Like, you see, there's a lot of people who have coils out there. But the thing about them is they don't have the right frequencies. Rife used single point frequencies one at a time for healing, but he was using destructive frequencies as opposed to harmonizing frequencies. I blend sets of frequencies together using the most harmonic octave in the known universe. And I design my frequencies and all of my octaves with the golden ratio. And I found even acoustically, the golden ratio octaves are the most incredible. So I have 24-inch coils, 17-inch coils, 14-inch coils, which are really small. This little 14-inch 7-level coil generates a huge energy field. And my really large ones, I have to actually do installations of. And of course, I'm modeling, the 14 is 2 units of the 7, like the 14-pointed StarCoil on the Church of the Nativity, where Christ was born. You'll see the number 1717 stamped on the 14-pointed star. And guess what the radius of the Holy of Holies is? And the wavelength of the staff of Moses, 17.17 feet. And they didn't even have feet back then, but they did have the 12. So those systems and our pendants, which go through a mini kind of nuclear fusion generator, we have proven the pendants also reharmonize the energy field because we wear them around the heart, and the heart is the strongest magnetic field of the body, next to the brain being weaker. And we've done aura camera photography on that, which you can see in this upper video here on the left. And the wands are more of a therapeutic device for healing, where you have real rubies, lab-grown rubies, and real natural amethyst, citrine, and topaz gems, and a tourmaline activated crystal core. So we pass the electrode right through the tourmaline so that as we're pulsing the gems emit these incredible auras of energy. And in fact, it was Konstantin Korotkov, the Russian physicist who was a friend of mine. He inspired me when he took aura photography of gems, and we found that different gems, when they're pulsed with frequencies, emit auric fields, and the auric fields of different gems were not all the same. They're all completely different. And that's due to the crystal lattice and the chemistry in the different gems. Like a ruby is a chromium gem, right? And amethyst is an iron-based gem. And you go into the trace minerals and the materials that make up gems, and you see how, when they're pulsed, most gems have the material the same material that crystal oscillators have in them, which is a combination of semiconductive quartz and minerals and trace minerals. So this is, our wand systems come, basically entry-level wand is $2,100, and the price goes up depending on the frequencies. The level 2 has a pure silver face, and behind the inside of the wands, all the wands have a coil that, if you unwound it, is the exact height of the Great Pyramid of Egypt. Which, when you look at this is something I just discovered recently, which is really profound. In the Dead Sea Scrolls Temple Scroll, which recently was proven to be printed with some type of actual technology, not a hand, written ink, which really baffled scientists. In the Temple Scroll, God gives Moses this larger cube, Holy of Holies, and it's 280 cubits by 280 cubits by 280 cubits times 20.605 inches per cubit is the height of the Great Pyramid of Egypt. So I call the Great Pyramid of Egypt the Great Holy of Holies. And how could Moses' God give him a Holy of Holies with the same, I mean, I'm talking to 1/100th of an inch accuracy, the finished height of the Great Pyramid of Egypt. So that's why we use our coil wire length, which is copyright, protected invention of mine, the height of the Great Pyramid of Egypt. And there's 2 star coils behind the face of the wand, and those star coils are made of pure silver or pure gold on the level 3 wand, right? Level 2 wand is pure silver, level 3 is pure gold. We have over an ounce of real gold in the level 3 wands. And that's because when gold becomes electrified through the law of inductance, it emits gold ionic auric energy for the benefit of not only healing, but for the benefit of the vibration of the space you're in. And then that coil, if you unwound it, equals the height of the staff of the angel in the book of Ezekiel. So look in the book of Ezekiel or watch the video on my film, and you'll see why those measurements. See, the God of the prophets and the gods of the ancient Egyptian world, they built temples with precise measurements, because a temple is a space, it's a cavity, which means it can trap a frequency proportional to the wavelength it represents. And so I see temples as frequency tuners. And why would I see Holy of Holies measurements all over the world crossing religions, right? Native American Indians in Chaco Canyon, in Babylonia, you can see the same measurement of a Holy of Holies. You can see it in Solomon's Temple, and we can see it in Mary Magdalene's village, right? Now, I've done a lot of math, and I'm very strict about math and measurements. So when I calculate frequencies, I'm not just pulling numbers out of the top of our head. You see, when you look at a lot of the other pulsed electromagnetic field devices, they don't know what frequency to give you. So it's taken me 15 years to calculate all these frequencies. And this is my frequency library. And I like to say this from my late friend, Patrick Flanagan, who wrote Pyramid Power. He would spend hours in Arizona when I lived there. Hours, just, picking each other's brains. And Pat is one heck of a mathematician. I mean, beyond me. I took physics in my school days, and presented a time dilation theory to my teachers that was quite amazing. But Pat wrote, your frequency calculations are excellent. And then he said that you should use the golden ratio to scale your frequencies. And the funny thing when I got the letter from him is I was already doing that, right? So if you take a tone generator software and you take Tesla's 7.83 fundamental Earth frequency, which is a frequency that he detected based on where he was standing on our sphere. And Elizabeth Rauscher, who's a UC Berkeley physicist, told me in my own house that my math said the equator frequency of Earth is just a smidgen under 7.5 hertz. And she said, we were at the equator and we were taking measurements. And at the equator, we were closer to 7.5 and we didn't know why. And I said, it's really simple. just take the speed of light in whatever unit of measure divided by the circumference of the Earth at the equator. And it's just a smidgen under 7.5. And then you do it this way, pole to pole. And you'll see that that's how it really works. And then of course, as you go up higher, people say the frequency of the Earth is changing because I measured it in Norway. Well, if a wavelength is going across the planet in Norway, you're going to have a much higher frequency up there because the wavelength shrunk. So my frequency library, and there are thousands of frequencies sitting here. The complete scale of the Great Pyramid of Egypt, which are these step frequencies that start with the subterranean pyramid going all the way up to the apex of the Great Pyramid. And there are certain intervals where I take the measurements that are harmonic intervals. Infinity frequencies are based on the Greek mathematician and father of physics, Archimedes. And see, single point frequencies are, like if I give you the number 432, which is a cult favorite frequency, you know, it won't move energy. Like you can vibrate 432 hertz, but if you want to move, you got to create octaves, right? So if I take 432 divided by the golden ratio, and multiply by the golden ratio going up and down, and then I go into my tone generator and listen to the ascending tones. Don't turn each frequency off. Let them stack. They melt into each other like butter. No distortion. But if you take our chromatic music scale, put headphones on, enter all the numbers, A, B, C, D, F, G, flats and sharps, and start at the bottom and keep turning them on, they're distorting. They're not in perfect harmony. But golden ratio is always in perfect harmony acoustically. So therefore, it is the proper ratio. And when you build ratios of frequencies as sets, you create a cone, a beam of ascending and descending frequencies. Very different than transmitting and receiving a single point frequency. And all we do now in radio and telecommunications is single point frequencies. What I did for all the stars in the cosmos, if astronomers knew an accurate radius of a star, I could calculate the frequency at the circumference of the star and shrink the wavelength down by the golden ratio in series and produce over 50 frequencies per star. And I will eventually pass through the audible wavelengths of that star. And then if I build a cone of those frequencies, I've been able to effectively communicate with Pleiades and many other stars and meet those beings in the dream time in the astral plane. And I've actually had them right in my house, holographically appear right in front of me using this technique. I use my coils and I transmit them near the bed and they show up, and they've been teaching me unbelievable things, which would have to be another webinar. So I have golden ratio brainwave frequency. So why do I do that? Because the golden ratio is everywhere. The Fibonacci spirals and seashells and ferns and plants and galaxies and you name it, they're all over the place. They're the fundamental creating wavelengths of the universe. So why would like somebody, I don't know, there's a lot of PEMF devices out there and I won't name them, but they'll just give you 5 hertz. Well, we don't do that. Like a frequency identifies with a location in the universe. Any two frequencies at a distance that are the same set up communication between each other. So why would I just come up with some abject number like 5 hertz and put it into my system, or 10 hertz, or the amethyst beds use 10 hertz because it's hot. Well, the frequency of Earth is hot too. It produces a lot of heat in the coil. The low frequencies produce a lot of heat in the coil. So I use the golden ratio to build brainwave sequences. So you can train your delta, your theta, your alpha, your beta, and your gamma in all golden ratio bands. And polygonal number frequencies, it's amazing when Jesus manifests the 153, fish and loaves of bread. 153 is a triangle and hexagonal number. So you can, if you look up triangle or hexagonal numbers, you're going to see there's a whole stream of them. Right? And what amazed me is 153 is the 17th number in that polygonal series. And 17 is the sacred Holy of Holies radius. 17.17 feet is the radius of the Holy of Holies. So all of the polygonal numbers are built into frequencies. And what they do, See, using my frequencies is, I look at it kind of like Neo in the Matrix. You know, when you're holding your wand or your staff, your nervous system is generating neural pathways based on the frequencies you give it. So the whole planet's been listening to the same music scale worldwide my whole life. And I'm, you know, I'm getting close to 60 here. So what, it's great. Those frequencies can give me an emotion. They can give me a feeling. I can, if I start hearing a Beatles song right now, I know all the words, but I don't know all the words unless I start hearing those frequencies in the beat. So what I'm saying is, when you do these frequencies with my system, you're training your nervous system to remember where do those frequencies lead you in your consciousness? Why did oral masters of ancient toning systems, like if you read the Gospel of the Egyptians, Jesus is confirming and teaching an ancient Egyptian practice of chanting 22 vowels, no, 7 vowels 22 times. 22 divided by 7 is Egyptian pi. So why is he doing that? Because tone and pitch has to be precise. They have a 7 vowel system. We have a 5 vowel system. A, E, I, O, U, but they have A, Ah, E, Eh, you see. And those, when you tone the body with frequencies, and I have a whole course on this also, you're setting up vibrational frequencies that lead to neural pathways, and neural pathways lead you to consciousness. And consciousness isn't just this one place. It's not just one bliss. See, when I meditate now, I go into really supreme bliss states, but each bliss, there's different blisses, there's different nuances and qualities in different states of bliss. So then I have to do this fast because we're getting here question time. Solfeggio scaled with the golden ratio. So solfeggio numbers are only 9 tones, but I scale each one with the golden ratio. So I get lots of frequency bands within solfeggio. And when you do your tone testing on your headphones, always perfect using the golden ratio as an octave. God's building blocks, Trinity, the 3 most sacred numbers, Holy of Holies, most sacred frequencies based on the Holy of Holies temple. I just keep scaling it with the golden ratio. The cube is really amazing because it's binaural, trinaural, quadrinaural, pentanaural. You think of the binaural 2 out of phase beat frequencies, but I calculated using Great Pyramid math the binaural, trinaural, quadrinaural, pentanaural, all the way to 9 neural point frequencies for holographic brainwave awareness training. And the most holy numbers in the Bible scaled, Tesla 7.83 hertz scaled, Tesla's 3, 6, and 9. And you know what's going to amaze you about 3, 6, and 9 is I've never seen this in any of the videos. But if you build a golden rectangle, side A times 1.618033987, side B, and you do your hypotenuse, right? You're going to get 30 degrees, 60 degrees, and 90 degrees on your corners. That's 3, 6, and 9. 30, 60, and 90 degrees. So what Tesla is saying about the secret of 3, 6, and 9 is the golden ratio. So very simple. A golden rectangle has 30, 60, and 90 degrees in it, 3, 6, and 9. Royal qubit frequencies are based on the true royal qubit. The most accurate one is not in the Egyptian rulers, it's in the pyramid itself. And the Egyptians got it wrong. Their rulers vary between 20.6 and 20.8 inches per royal qubit, but it's 20.605 inches every time in 14 places in the Great Pyramid. So the 432, the current 432 scale on the internet, when you tone test it, it's awful. But if you use 432 scaled with the golden ratio, it's perfect. I have calculated the frequencies of over 50 known stars, only the ones with an accurate radius. The frequencies of the staff of Moses, Isis, Osiris, Jesus. Jesus said in Mark 6, verse 8, when he dispersed the 12, you can forget everything. Your purse, no money in your purse, no food. Don't forget your staff. It's funny that he says that, and then you don't see priests with their staffs. But yet, why did they need the staff? Because if it's all cut at the same length, it's not a piece of wood, they will all be calibrated to the same frequency. And whenever multiple, the way radio works is if I send out my voice or a song at 5.1 megahertz, and millions of people can receive at 5.1 megahertz, and they're all going to receive the broadcast. So when Jesus disperses the disciples, if you're holding a conductor, the wavelength is the frequency. So you're all going to be in telepathy with each other. So these are,
David,
this is a good quick overview.
You have, okay, you have just, well, if you want to finish your last sentence, please do so, because the next speakers are already here. We have to start the next session soon. And we have to do the Q&A. Yeah.
So what I'm saying, if you have any questions, you can email me, davidsereda@hotmail.com, or you can contact the number on the website, davidsereda.co. And again, my email is also at the bottom of the page if you want to get the harmonic field set of grounding rods in the instructions, which is the most affordable way to ground at a harmonic in your space without blocking all the good rays out there. So thank you very much, Crystal, for having this forum and having me here today.
Oh, this is superb. I just love listening to what you got to say with what you come up with. It's superb. It's fantastic. And I'm sure we have loads of questions for you. I mean, our sister Monica here has already lined up quite a number of questions, and we don't have much time here now because we got the other two speakers, and it's always a rush for time. So would I be able to hand over the microphone to you, Co-Chair Fres? Or would you want me to?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Monica.
Yes, we can hear you, yeah.
Okay, so my question would be, when I look at the light stream wand, I see the geometry of 12 or 6, while your coil has the 14. Why is that appearing here?
Well, when you look at the 6 days of creation, and when you look at on a molecular crystal lattice scale, all the elements on the periodic table are 6 base geometry. The cube is 6 sides. Gold, for example, as an element, is a cube on a crystal lattice scale with 6 pyramids in the cube in all different angles. So when God said God created the world in 6 days, I believe it wasn't 6 days. It was based on the 6. So you'll see hexagonal geometries on the periodic table.
David, can you please put your camera back on, and so I can listen better?
Oh, my camera.
Yes, you'll need to stop share. There you go.
Okay, stop share. Okay, so the 6 base geometry is the fundamental building block of every element on the periodic table. So if you look at the crystal lattice of every element, so you take the element gold on a crystal lattice scale is a cube, and a cube has 6 sides. And the hexagon is the cube if you look at it 3-dimensionally. So the wand has the 6 rubies reflecting the 6 points of creation. So look on your periodic table crystal lattice, you'll see that. You'll see that most geometries in all of the elements on the periodic table, everything's made out of, is based on the 6. And the 6 also, when God said God created the world in 6 days, I believe it was God created the world with the 6, because everything in the world is based on the 6. The cube is 6, the hexagon is 6. And so you can look at your elements and look at your crystal lattice structure, and you'll see the atoms are all bonded in these, most of them. There's a few elements that you could argue. They use the 6 as the base, but then they go beyond the 6 in the creation. So that's why the 1 has the 6. The 14 is based on the 7 unit. So if I take a 360-degree circle, and I divide it by 7 and build a triangle, you just take your calculator and you say, what is the closest number I can get to the sacred pyramid angle? 51 degrees is 51 minutes, and arguably 25 seconds, 14.3 seconds. And I take 360 degrees divided by 7, I get 51.42. So that's as close as I can get to the sacred pyramid number using the frequencies that I have that appear to move through time. Like there's a quantum mechanics studies done in single cells where if you can get the vibration of when your cells were younger and superimpose that vibration on your cells now that they're older, you can reverse aging. And it has to do with taking the two frequencies and mixing them together. And you can, and that creates time dilation right there. Right there. You've got time dilation. A differential, two frequencies on a differential create a dilation of time. But it gets very, very deep on how to do this. I mean, what is the secret to stopping aging? I have little kids and I'm having them really late in my life because I'm almost 60 and I don't want to die anytime soon. So the answer to that would be amazing. Anyway, thank you, Crystal, for having me here. And people can email me further questions. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Oh, you are most welcome. Right. So, there being no other business, this meeting is now adjourned. This first session of the 73rd FESIG meeting is now adjourned to the second session, where we will have two speakers speaking together, Gosia and Bill Haber, on the off-planet propulsion system and navigation, and it will be another very interesting topic. So now I will have to thank everyone for turning up early for this first session's meeting, and then please stay on while we stop the recording, and then we take a short a few seconds break or so because we are running out of time, and we'll start the second session. Okay. And those of you who are in a great hurry, I mean, you're most you can just hop off this Zoom room and join us another time. And thank you so much for taking the time and choosing to be with us in this session. Thank you. Namaste.